If you're looking to bring a medical device to market in the UK and EU, it's essential that you understand how to navigate requirements for clinical evaluation. And it's really important because, truth be told, it's the most common failure point under the MDR. But don't worry, in this video series, we've got you covered. We're going to take you through the principles of clinical evaluation. We're going to go through each major step, cover off some pitfalls so that you can avoid them for your own submissions. So let's get into it. First of all, what gives me the right to talk about this? Well, it's my privilege to lead Mantra Systems, which is a company that's best known for our services in clinical evaluation. We've conducted over 300 so far with a 100% submission success rate. So we can speak with real confidence about what works and how to get through requirements for clinical evaluation. In this video then, we're going to give a general overview of what clinical evaluation is and what the major components are. So we'll start with that basic question, what is clinical evaluation? Well, in simple terms, it's a bringing together of all available clinical evidence related to a medical device and also to similar devices or ways of solving the same problem. And a way to think about it is in terms of 4 objectives and 3 components. So when it comes to the objectives, these help frame what you're going to do. So objective number 1 is you have to demonstrate suitability for intended purpose. And of course, as a manufacturer, you decide what your intended purpose is. And when we talk about pitfalls, this is one of the big ones that it's easy to fall into, because if you draft your intended purpose to be too broad, you're setting yourself a trap when it comes to demonstrating suitability. So objective number 1, suitability for intended purpose. The next one is to demonstrate conformity with the relevant general safety performance requirements. Unlike intended purpose, of course, with the general safety performance requirements, you have no control. The legislation is what tells you which ones are relevant to your device. And some of the GSPRs will be demonstrated through technical evidence, but some of the other ones will need clinical data, and it's up to you as a manufacturer to set out which ones they are. The third objective is to show non-inferiority to safety and performance objectives. And these are derived from the state-of-the-art review. And in this case, what you've got is the manufacturer is determining benchmarks for success, the legislation is determining benchmarks for success, and here it's your competitors that are determining benchmarks for success, because you need to be at least not worse than other ways of solving the same problem. And then the final important objective for clinical evaluation is to demonstrate acceptability of the benefit-risk ratio. All medical devices have risk, all medical devices should have benefits, and your job in clinical evaluation is to show quantitatively that your benefits outweigh the risks. And we're going to go into each of these in more detail in videos later in this series. And then the other side to thinking about clinical evaluation is in terms of components. And there are 3 essential components to any successful clinical evaluation. These are a state-of-the-art protocol and report, a clinical evaluation plan, and a clinical evaluation report. The mistake that's often made is people only think about this one. Try and build the CER without having the foundations in place. The message at this stage is don't neglect the SOTA review and don't neglect the CEP, because without a solid understanding of how other ways of solving the same problem are performing, you can't set out any safety and performance objectives. And without safety and performance objectives, you can't build a clinical evaluation plan. And without a clinical evaluation plan, you can't show to a reviewer that you conducted it according to a framework that you set out in advance. So that's a basic overview of clinical evaluation. We've talked about the 4 objectives and the 3 components. And in this series, we're going to take you through all of those in a lot more detail. Thanks very much, and we'll see you there.